What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fishing Over Chicks Woodworking. My name is Peter, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build this super modern and simple coffee table with only 3 pieces of wood. Now, this coffee table cost me about $25 to make, but it is super nice. Definitely does not look like it only cost 25 bucks. And the build is actually not that hard to do as long as you have a table saw. So let's get into it. So this coffee table is actually one of my favorite projects because you only need 3 pieces of wood to build it. So for the bottom shelf, you're going to need a piece of pine. I mean, it doesn't have to be pine. Mine is. That is 12 inches by 36 inches. For the top, I am using a piece of maple plywood. That is 20 inches by 40 inches. And the legs are from a piece of 1 by 6 by 8 cedar. And what you're going to want to do is take them and you're going to want to cut them at a 22.5 degree angle. And from this tip to this tip, it should be 21 inches long. And I know you're thinking, why is there only 2 legs? If your coffee table, you know, you're gonna need 4. But we're gonna run them through the table saw, so the legs are actually gonna be half the size. So, let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take your rip fence and set it 2.5 inches away from the blade. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna place the angle against the rip fence, and then you're gonna run this through, and then you're gonna do it with the other leg, and then we're gonna adjust the rip fence just a little bit and do that again. I wanna put one of the boards against the rip fence with the angle this way, and then the other one with the angle that way, as you can see. That's the best way I know how to describe it. And that's just gonna make sure that not all 4 of your legs are exactly the same, because then the slits would not be on the right side and the table wouldn't be able to stand up. So make sure you do that. I've made that mistake before and it is brutal. You have to make a whole new leg and you do not want to do that. So I suggest drawing a line on both of them so you know where to cut. Your next cut is going to be 1/8 of an inch away from the first to your left. Now you're going to want to do that again, and we're basically going to keep doing that until this gap is a 3/4 inch thick gap, and the way you're going to check that is by grabbing your bottom shelf and just sliding it in there and seeing if it fits. Once you've done 3 cuts, you're going to see that there's a little bit of wood left there, so you're just going to want to grab your chisel and chisel that down, just so you can see how big your actual gap is right now. So you can tell, so far, definitely not 3/4 inches. So we're just gonna keep going with that until it gets a bit bigger. Now that you've got this slit, you probably will have some pieces of wood left over, but they're gonna be thin. So you can just push them down with your finger, and then you can just take them out like that. Then what you're going to want to do, because there is going to be a bunch of little ripples here, you're going to want to take your chisel and just chisel that down to flat. So now that you've got these cut out and you've cleared them out with your chisel, you're going to want to set your table saw to 2 3/4 inches. And then we're just going to run these through, cut them in half, and then you're going to have your 4 legs. So now that you've got all 4 legs pretty much done, the last step with the legs is you're going to route them to give them a nice round over on each side. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't have a rounder, but I highly recommend it because it's going to make it look really good. So what we're going to do is use a 1/4 inch round over bit, and we're just going to go around all of the sides on both sides. All right, now that you got all the legs nice and rounded over, they're really starting to look great. So now we are ready to assemble. So your next step is to grab the bottom shelf, which is the 12 by 36. And what we're gonna do now is just do a dry test to see how they fit. So now that we have them just placed, obviously, you know, this isn't gonna be where they're exactly gonna be placed. We're gonna bring them toward the edge a bit, but starting to look great. We got all the slits in the right places, the right size. So that's exciting. So now what we're gonna do is bring these legs all the way to the end, just like that. We're gonna want to leave a tiny gap right here. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's gonna look like. And then we're gonna have this board on top. So that is what your table's gonna look like, more or less. I think it looks great so far. So yeah, now we're going to get to gluing. So now you're gonna wanna put the glue in the slot here. Just do a nice, pretty decent amount. Then once you got some glue in there, just take your finger and rub it around. You're gonna wanna get the top and the bottom just to cover the entire thing. All right, so once you've got that, then you're just gonna wanna place it right back where it was in your desired position. And you're just gonna place it just like that. Now you're gonna wanna do that with all the rest. All right, so now I'm gonna clamp the two legs together just to make sure that they are in the place I want them to be while drying. Now that you've got it clamped up and it is drying, you're gonna wanna put it aside very carefully. And now you're gonna wanna let this dry for at least a few hours. I always say 4 hours, just a good safe amount of time to make sure that everything is glued and it's gonna stay that way. So now we're gonna take the top and we're gonna route the edges with the same 1/4 inch round over bit, just so the whole piece has the same round look to it. So now we're just gonna round all the edges on this one, only on the top side. You don't need to do it on the bottom side, but you can if you want to, but I am not going to. So it's been about 4 hours, so they should be fairly dry now. So what we're gonna do is take your top, just flip it over like that. Then you're gonna take your legs. I'm gonna leave the clamps on just because it doesn't really matter if you take them off or not. So the more time that it gets to dry, the better. So I'm just gonna leave those on. We're gonna flip this upside down just like this. And then we're gonna place it right there. So now what we're gonna wanna do is center this up. So we're gonna measure from like here to here, here to here, and make sure those are the same length. And then from the back to front, front to back. So we're gonna wanna grab our tape measure and make sure that those are all the same. So now I know that each of these legs are about 4 inches away from the edge here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mark right where they are so I know where to put the glue, and now I need to make sure that it's equally distant front and back. So I'm gonna measure that now. So now that you've got it all centered up, you're just gonna wanna run your pencil along all 4 sides of where each leg meets the maple top. That way you're going to know exactly where to put the glue. So now that you've got those marks down, I am going to pick up this side of the table, trying to keep those ones on the squares. Doesn't matter if they're not. And I'm just going to put glue right in the middle of this square, as well as the next one. And then you're just going to place them back down, making sure that they are centered in that square. Perfect. Now we're going to do that with the next side. So now you're going to want to grab some weights if you have them, and just place the weights right there, just so you can have the weights pushing down to help the glue bond, and you're done. So now you're just going to want to wait another 4 hours, I'd say, then flip it over, and you are going to be completely done. So I'll come back in 4 hours, flip it over, and see how it looks. So there it is. So that is how you build a super modern coffee table, super simple, with only 3 pieces of wood. So thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any other videos you'd like me to make, teach you how to build stuff, just leave those in the comments below. I'd be happy to do that. I make how-to videos on this channel all the time, so I'll be checking back for those in the future. Thanks.